Welcome back everyone to our final part of our 4-part series on our baby registry checklist review. Today I'm going to be talking to you about bath and potty, as well as safety and health, and which items you should get and which you can hold off on. Just as a reminder, we are not your doctor and we are not the experts of any manufacturing company, so make sure you consult your own doctor for your baby and you read your manuals for any products that might have some safety concerns. Remember that if you stay until the end, I'm going to be disclosing how much we spent so far with Caspian and how much we think we're going to spend up until his first year birthday. With that aside, let's jump into the video. Alright, so the first item is the bathtub and the bath support. So this is largely going to depend on how large of a sink and counter space you have, because there are many types. We actually started bathing Caspian in just a plastic tub when he was a newborn because he was so small and he couldn't really support himself in the bath support that we got, and we later bought a larger tub that went on top of the counter when he was older. There are a few different ways to bathe your newborn, so do the one that's easiest for you and fits in your living space. You will need a space after you bathe him to put him down onto the counter or some kind of flat area to be able to dry him off on a towel and to redress him. So keep that in mind if you buy a bathtub that goes on your counter. You are losing that counter space to the tub, so you may need some more space to accommodate for when he comes out of the tub. So for the shampoo and body wash, don't overcomplicate choosing them. There are so many things that can confuse you, like whether it's tear-free or organic or soy-free, or if it has a fragrance or not. Just try the product that you think is best for your child and watch for how they react to it. If their skin breaks out in eczema or rashes, then switch to a new product. We're using Cetaphil's baby wash off of a friend's recommendation for how gentle it was on her baby's skin, and we've had no issues with it so far. So we're happy to be using this one and we haven't changed since. On the topic of shampoo, one other product that's going to be helpful is the Shampoo Rinse Cup, and basically this is just any type of bowl or cup that can help you pour water over the baby. We're just using a small plastic container to save us some money on that, and as long as it's safe and you don't think it'll hurt your baby, it should be fine to use. Another product that can be used for bath time is the bath kneeler. I think this is self-explanatory, but if you decide to wash your baby inside of the actual bathtub, then this might be helpful. You could also just use some towels folded up to help your knees if you have to lean over to wash your baby. However, we find it much easier to bathe your baby while you're standing, so if you can find a tub that sits on the counter or in the sink, that's most likely going to be easier. So diapering is often listed in this section, but we've already covered diapering and all that kind of stuff earlier. The one thing that I'll note for the potty is that I find it helpful to have a bag of spare diapers in the bathroom so that after you're done bathing baby, he or she can go into a clean diaper. You may find it helpful to have a separate diaper pail in the bathroom so that when you are changing baby, it's easier for you to throw away the dirty diaper. However, again, because we are using cloth diapers, we simply remove his cloth diaper and then we'll bring it downstairs and put it in the bucket. When you're putting wipes on your registry, we'd recommend getting at least a few boxes. Just remember that when your baby's in the newborn stage, he or she may be going through 9 to 12 dirty diapers a day. And assuming the high range and you use 3 wipes per day, that's going to set you back 36 wipes per day. So make sure you have enough wipes on your registry to last you the first couple months so you don't have to worry about it. For the ointments, don't forget to sign up for samples from companies like Cream. We used a natural balm from Honest Company and we thought that worked very well. If we were to pass on some advice from our friend, she found it most helpful to use a cream from Desitin, and this was the most helpful in actually creating a barrier between the bum and the diaper to prevent rashes from developing worse. Caspian didn't really have diaper rashes at all. We haven't even used up the samples from Cream. The other product we use is lotion from Aveeno, and this helps to moisturize baby after his bath time or whenever he has some dry skin. As I mentioned last time, there are toys that you can buy for bath time, and if you forgot about that, they're here. But obviously, as baby gets older, they may spend more time in the bath and they'll have some toys to play with. So far, Caspian is 7 months old and he doesn't really spend any time playing in the bath because he's just finally being able to support himself sitting upright. But if you choose to buy some bath toys, this can probably be delayed for a little bit later. Bathtub spout cover. So this is a product that runs about $10 and it's going to cover the spout of the bathtub as a safety feature so that your baby doesn't knock into it. At first, I thought this was an unnecessary thing. Why would you need to cover your bathtub spout? Just keep the baby away from it so that there's no chance of them hitting it. However, Victoria has told me that she hit her head on the bathtub spout many times as a child. So for $10, it's probably a good investment if you think your baby's going to do that. I don't know how she did that very often because I have never hit my head on the bathtub spout. 4 to 6 hooded towels. So Victoria and I both agree that the hooded part is actually unnecessary. You could probably just go with any towel, and 2 to 4 should be sufficient. Obviously it depends on how often you choose to bathe your baby, but any normal towel should do fine. What's more important in my opinion is that it has cotton in it. This is going to be more absorbent. We have a towel that has a high percentage of polyester in it and it absorbs nothing. So when you're choosing your products, make sure it has cotton, and if you're concerned about how it would affect the skin, you can choose organic cotton, of course. 6 to 8 washcloths. So in a similar vein, we think 2 to 4 should be sufficient. You'll use maybe 2 at most each bath time, so it depends on how often you choose to bathe your baby. And the same applies. We prefer the cloths that had a higher percentage of cotton as they are more effective and softer for the baby's skin. We haven't started potty training yet for Caspian, so we don't have any experience with a training potty, but it's most likely that when we get there, we will cover content from what we learn. As we move on to safety and health, again, there are some products that we don't have any experience with yet because Caspian is still young. So you can note that some of these products aren't necessary until your baby is a little bit older. Safety gates, locks, cushions, covers, furniture straps, television straps, anti-furniture tip sets, all of those things we don't have experience with yet, but I think are going to be helpful because they're all very real safety risks, and we most likely will be installing all of those things. Humidifiers. There's not much to say about this. The only thing that I'll mention is most sources I've read say that a relative humidity of 30 to 50% is sufficient for comfort. We find that anything below 40, maybe even 45, has a very dry feeling. So if your relative humidity is around that, we would recommend having a humidifier for comfort, since it's going to be difficult for your baby to communicate to you that it's dry. First aid kit and medicines. This is of course going to be helpful. When you're looking for a thermometer, our doctor recommended to find one that can go into the ear. That's going to be a little bit more accurate than the armpit or an oral one. We actually forgot to put medicine on our baby registry. However, we would recommend having Tylenol as well as Benadryl on your registry just in case anything were to happen to baby. With Caspian, his first vaccination was his first time that he required Tylenol. His leg was really swollen from when he got his shot, so that along with a cold cloth were the things that were able to provide him some comfort. The other thing that's helpful is to have some Benadryl just in case there are allergic reactions, especially when you start trying solid foods. That'll definitely be a medicine to have on hand. Nasal Aspirator. So this is one of the products that we weren't really sure if we needed. We decided to skip out on it in the beginning because we just went with the spray. However, after using the spray and testing it out on myself, I came to the conclusion that it's very uncomfortable. When we tried it at Caspian, it was also very uncomfortable and therefore not very effective because he would just move and try to escape it. So I ended up buying the nasal aspirator afterwards. However, we only ended up using it less than 5 times. Without the aspirator, it is kind of difficult to clean his nostrils. So it's going to be up to you. If you can manage the spray effectively, then you could probably skip on the aspirator. And then once Caspian's nose was a little bit bigger, I actually just started picking it myself with my finger. And that worked fine. So for nail care, the first item is a baby nail clipper, and this is essentially like a Dremel. So it's a small device that spins and it grinds the fingernails down. It has different attachments, so it can go up to 12 months old. However, we only used this for about 3 months because we found it much easier and more efficient to just use nail clippers once he was old enough. However, we still would purchase this because when babies' fingers are so small and really fragile, it's almost impossible to use nail clippers. So this is going to help with that stage. Oral care. So there are a lot of teething gels that exist on the market. However, we didn't purchase any of them. If you decide to do that, just be aware that some of them contain substances that actually aren't very safe for your baby, so make sure you double check with your pediatrician. When we were trying to relieve discomfort with Caspian, we just give him his teethers and he's usually happy with that. When Caspian was between 0 and 6 months old, I would sometimes wipe the inside of his mouth with a wet cloth just to clean up after eating, but I didn't do that every day. And starting at around 6 months, I started using this little finger brush, and Caspian would open his mouth and I'd scrub his little tooth once it started poking out, and that would be his oral care in that way. We don't use a brush and comb. However, we do give Caspian a bath daily, and that's part of his evening routine, so his hair is usually clean. Cleaning supplies. So the first one on the list is going to be baby laundry detergent. We would recommend this because the price isn't that different. From what I understand, baby detergent simply has fewer ingredients that will irritate skin. For cleaning Caspian's toys, I usually just use hot water to disinfect it at the end of the day, and then I let it air dry overnight. Victoria also occasionally will use Lysol wipes or some type of sanitizing wipe to clean his toys and stations down, and then make sure it dries overnight before you let baby use them again. That's it, guys. That's the end of our baby registry checklist review. I know it seemed like a lot. I think that was just under an hour's worth of content, so we did gloss over this pretty quickly. Keep in mind that this took us hours and hours and hours to research when we were first preparing for a child, so I hope this gives you some direction, at least a small way. Because it was so brief, if there are items that you would like us to go further in detail, please let us know, and then that'll be an idea for a future video. Now, for the average of spending $10,000 for the first year of your baby, I'm gonna say that we didn't spend anywhere close to that. However, it is good to note that we had a lot of help from friends, and there are a lot of hand-me-downs used, so keep that in mind when I share these values. So the total cost of the items on our registry was $1,830.48, and the cost of the products that we purchased from his birth until the end of December was $275.76, and the cost of the items we purchased from the beginning of this year is $183.16. So assuming the first 6 months cost the same as the next 6 months, the amount that we would have spent for his first year of life is $2,748.32. Remember, this includes a lot of hand-me-down items like the stroller and the bouncer and the jumper and the entertainer, and these are all very high-priced items, so that would have bumped up our cost. So personally, I strongly agree with the old adage that says it takes a village to raise a child. I think what Victoria and I would want to share with you is that when you go through this process of having a baby, it's such an exciting time, but it can be so overwhelming. So make sure you reach out to your friends, you reach out to your parents, and whoever else you know has children. See if they have any extra products lying around that they could share with you, or if they have any tips and advice, or even if they can just encourage you and support you as you make this big transition into your life. I hope this series was helpful in some way. We learned a lot doing it. We learned a lot from going through this stage ourselves. That's it for our baby registry checklist review. If you want to check out the other parts of this series, you can check out all the videos that are on screen now. And that's it for now. See you guys later.